over to YouTube, Mixer, as well as Twitch in order to get the stream. We will be up over on Facebook ASAP as soon as possible. But I do have Alex Rasmussen along with me, and we are out on course for 5 laps. Is it 4 laps of the Greater London Flat Course? Crazy amount here. And let's go ahead and jump right into the racing with the men as they jump out over onto the main course here. So what's going on, Alex? How's the current situation? Is pretty interesting. Round number 3, and it's been pretty heated. This seems to be the race to be a part of.
This is definitely the race to be a part of. We see so many of the big names we've seen from Tour de Swift going all in for this race series, and we see a lot of different teams in here as well. So it's quite interesting to see. And then just look at the participation: 183 in Category A. It's insane. I was just looking at the pin like 20 minutes before the start. You already had 50, 60 riders in there. So they're taking it as seriously as Tour de Swift, which is great to see.
Yeah, and we do see it looks like a little bit of attack off the front here with Scalabard. Now, interesting to see all the new races. We've been talking a lot about that, the amount of new races that we've had in this series specifically. We're looking at 183 in the men's race currently right now, so plenty of new individuals that have showed up here. And we do see a couple of attacks, from some of these that may be newer to the world of Zwift racing too. So we'll see if they continue on with that kind of a trend of being sometimes a little bit anxious, trying to get away. And it's going to be a tough one here today, I think, to try and break away from the kind of pack that we do have here, though, with this many strong racers on a flatter course.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty much neon impossible with this many teams. So many teams able to control it. Just the amount of the anticipation in the peloton is just gonna. I'm looking at, I'd say, close to 50 kilometers average over the course of 53 kilometers. So it's gonna be intense. And if you want to break away, it's gonna be really towards the end, around the 50 kilometer mark, where you have a couple of small kickers before you hit them all.
Yeah, for sure. And now it does look like as we do head on over toward the first little climb, things are fairly calm here. 22nd place currently for, it looks like A+ from the Vikings team. As they are about to take this right-hand turn. This is going to be the first little kicker. As they do take this right-hand turn, it's going to be Helgesen then. It looks like making a little bit of a kick. 9 watts per kilogram coming from Barfoot here. Nigel Clark there, followed up by Scalabred here up in 8 watts per kilogram. Solid kicks now. Pantaleo, though, it looks like from Evoke, and Mustard from Crouch, and Gadja there from Team Draft. So this is the 3 trying to get off the front here in this race. James Phillips, we'll see if we can find the current series leader here in the Callis Cup, as they're going to try and break, I think, Canyon ZCC today, as that's going to be the team to be watching out for as far as the international results go.
And I think we're already going to see a split here. This is the first little, before we actually enter the lap, this is the first little challenge we have today's course, the 4-5% 400-meter hill. And we almost always see it breaking in 2 or 3, the peloton, and we're going to see it again today. So it's just going to be more of an elimination race, where people are going to drop off the back. Then I think we're actually going to see an attack off the front that's going to stick, unless it's like at the very last end, at like the last 3 kilometers or so.
Yeah, we are seeing, it looks like things coming back together here, as Heidel from the Vikings, 3.9 watts per kilogram, sitting in about 12th place. We'll see if we can find any kind of a break here, though, in the pack. Getting a little bit strung out, as you can see. Team pulling there, trying to close the gap down, as well as Evoke trying to get settled in there as well. So things shut down pretty quickly there. 3R toward the back, as you can see. Larson, the Swedish rider, there as well. So top 30 right now, all holding right around 4.0 watts per kilogram. Bergen, we're seeing from the Vikings. Vikings definitely one of the teams to be watching out for, I think, here. We're going to see if we can bring up some of the current standings for the Cup here, as we are seeing for the overall in the international results. James Phillips, Martin Olsen from Team SZ, Jeremy Ray there from Team Ascent, and then Christian Oftedal followed up by Tipo Lauriel. Those are the top 5 currently in the standings, separated about 30 points or so. Amongst the Norwegian standings, Morten Vang, Christian Oftedal, Joe Carstensen, Roar Lindeland, and then it will be Johan Noreker Nosen. Those are the top 5 currently in the Norwegian standings right now. Only separated, though, by about, it looks like 17 points, though, between them. So a little bit more hotly contested with the Norwegian standings there, Alex.
Yeah, I like that. I like that they have a little national league, national standings where they can actually compete against each other. But like they're also among the best Swift riders in the world, so they're gonna be up there in the international rankings anyway. I have seen so far. I've seen 2 national champions. I have seen the Danish champion in there as well as the Norwegian Vidar Mehl. So those are also going to be somebody to look out for today. The Danish champion Kalman from Team Fusion etc.
Oh, Kalman's
So
in the race.
there's
That's going to be
definitely a lot
interesting
of
to see if
strong. Yeah,
Kalman's
I saw
actually out
Kalman.
there.
Yeah, I saw him in the pen right next to the Norwegian champion, so that's why I know he's in there. I don't know where he is right now because the peloton is quite big at this moment, but it's definitely going to split down to probably less than 100 when we reach the final lap.
Yeah, now moving forward, we are going to see where things are at. There's a little bit of a turnaround now. Scalbred here toward the front again. He's been very active in the races so far with some early attacks. I know he's a pure climber, though. This is the new elite to the in real life. But he was started out as a junior, as we said, in the world of Zwift, and this rider I'll be watching out for maybe more of a climbing course, but we'll see if perhaps he can make something happen, as watts per kilogram definitely are rewarded.
Can I interject quickly, Nathan? Here
Yeah,
in
of
this
course.
corner, we actually discovered this yesterday when I was on Discord. Look at the speed, goes down to 33 here. So when you come out, that's a little trick for everybody that doesn't know. When you come out of this corner, if you go full gas, you're actually going to create a huge, if you see somebody doing it, you're going to create a huge gap coming out of this turn because the speed goes down to 33 no matter how fast you go into that corner. So that's
And
a
we
little
are
trick
seeing
that
Boniface
is
doing exactly what you're saying there. Grabs
Yeah.
4 seconds immediately, and because of that 180-degree turn, does give an opportunity here to get away, and we'll see if he can get rewarded with that. As that's a solid little kick here, 6 seconds. Now it's a long day
it's
away,
only
though.
on this U-turn. It is a long day away, but it's just a trick to get the peloton to react. But it only works on this U-turn, which is kind of weird because we have the other one where the speed remains high. So whenever the speed goes down to 30, when everybody's forced to go down to 33 kilometers an hour, and then you kick, you're gonna really create a huge gap coming out of that corner. So it's going to be interesting to see how many know about this trick and how many going to utilize it towards the end. But it's a great way to encourage the peloton to attack.
Yeah, and it'll be good to see if we do get some attacks coming out of the peloton. A little bit of action here early. I mean, with the flatter race, going to be quiet most likely for a lot of the early racing here. But Boniface here, we got to see a little bit new of a tag here in Boniface's name there with the dropouts, actually, and the ODZ tag. So interesting to see maybe a little bit of a swap up on his team affiliations here, at least for the racing side of things. So interesting to see Boniface maybe jumping in with the dropouts, and they're getting a very strong rider if they did grab him up.
Yeah, we saw him on the leg snapper where he was actually away with 10 seconds, and then he was able to maintain his speed over the leg snapper and go in the back, basically in the middle of the bunch. Was it 2 days ago in the 3R? So he was a lot stronger than I thought. Like for me, that would have been almost impossible if you go full gas into the leg snapper to get over it when the peloton is chasing you back down. It's so hard. And another thing we have to be aware of today is the intermediate sprints. It's 4, 2, and 1. So 4, 2, and 1 points over the sprint banner each lap. So that's another thing that could encourage a little different dynamic in the race.
And are we looking then over the sprint banner? Are we talking then about on the classic course then?
I would imagine so. I just have it here from the companion app. It just says 4, 2, and 1 point on each sprint passing. So I would imagine that would be over them all. We'll see. We'll see when they sprint.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll have to look and see through here. I believe it's going to be over them all, though, is where we're looking at. I'm seeing, looking through some of the information here on the live stream. Looks like all categories, separate pens. Points were rewarded on sprints and KOMs during different courses. So, really cool to see that people are able to. If you're unfamiliar with how this is working in this specific, race, it is going to be extra points through those sprint sections that go toward the overall standings. Actually, so that's one of the great additions to this racing series is that you don't just go for the scratch race for the points at the end of the race. It's actually actually a support of your overall by going for the sprint section. We actually saw things change up a little bit in the women's race as well as the men's race because of those extra points that have been awarded that we saw these last couple of races. The KOM, I believe it was over the top of Box Hill, showed some extra points being given, and I think we might see it just changes up the tactics. I think, Alex, that gives people more opportunities rather than just sitting in.
Exactly, and we love it as when we stream it. We love to see that changes the race a lot. But we see also the community is embracing it. Just look at the amount of participants in the Callas Cup. It's just been ever increasing ever since the first round. So people really love it, and if I was racing, I would also love it because it just makes it different. It changes up a little bit, so you don't have to just sit in. Like here, you basically just have to sit in 1 hour, sit in the peloton, and wait for the sprint, unless something really different, unless a team attacks with 3 or 4 guys. So it just changes up the dynamic, especially on the flatter courses.
I was seeing Reese from Canyon GCC, the team manager, jumping in and having some jokes in chat. Now, if you are in chat, go ahead and bring us your chatter. We'll bring it on in. We are watching the chat over on Twitch as well as YouTube currently, and we'll bring in your chatter from each of those places as it does come on in. I believe we were able to, and it looks like Twitch is doing pretty well. Obviously, when the stream is not functioning over on Facebook, everybody comes on over from those places. Now, if you want to hit that follow button on any of those places, go ahead and do so. As well as turn on your notification bells to know whenever we do go live. It is on twitch.tv/SwiftCommunityLive or YouTube. You can find us at Swift Community Live over on YouTube as well. Hit that subscribe button. It helps us grow the content here and keep the streams coming at you. Again, apologies on the Facebook not getting going as we usually like to have. But today we may be able to still get it going. We'll get it maybe at the halfway point here, but a little bit of background work needed to be going into it. We want to focus in on the racing here. We're also looking to get the women's race happening here in just a moment. So David from PLCC, though, giving a little bit of kick off the front now out of Australia. Now, 4.9 watts per kilogram coming from him, driving the pace. Now, there's a rider who shows up a lot and loves to be a part of the broadcast, I think, and does not have a teammate to work with, though, ever. Is always very aggressive toward the front end. And, you have these riders that are these, unsupported by, by teams with the numbers a lot of times. I mean, speaking of numbers, look at the Vikings kit. Look at how many blue and white that we see there. And if you're unfamiliar with the Vikings kit, it's the newer one that is in game here. Bergen here now. It's going to give us a shot here. And Greg Bergen here, one to definitely be watching out for in the sprint. We've seen him win money at times. Look at how many are right around them there, too. 4 of them there. Now we swapped over to Olsen. This is the second overall in the international standings right now. But Danielson, they're also in the Vikings kit. Lots of Vikings showing up, I think, obviously, with the Norwegian base here, I think. And, I think that a lot of the Scandinavian countries, as you were saying, are going to be really focused in on this race series.
Yeah, definitely. It's really popular here in Scandinavia, as we obviously see with some of the best Swedish guys, and we have the Norwegian and Danish champion in there. We have Michael Nim from Danish Bike Riders. He was also part of Tour de Swift, a really, really strong rider from Denmark as well. And we see that many of the Vikings, but so far it hasn't been, you can't really utilize that you have that many riders on a flat stage. It's really hard to push the pace or surprise any of the other teams. So I'm gonna be interested to see how Vikings gonna utilize the numbers they have in there. Instead of, if they just sit in, they're not gonna change the dynamic of the race. So they have to do something crazy. And that little U-turn we were talking about, where you actually have the best chance to get away, that's a really really nice spot to attack with 3 or 4 guys.
Real quick here, Larry Parker, thanks a lot for the comment. And the stream on Facebook failed to get sent. It just didn't go through. We updated a couple of things, and once in a while, things don't always Facebook work over on the once in a while. And with the limited productions management here, just as full transparency, sometimes it's difficult to get it back up and going. But if we can get the Facebook stream going, we will do so as quickly as possible. You can obviously watch over on YouTube where you're at there, Larry, as well as Twitch. But we will see if we can grab that. If not, we'll get the highlights and post them up over on Facebook for sure of the race. So Helgetson here from the Vikings now. Pod's line there for Team Experimental. It looks like Fargley from Team Callus, as you can see, moving his way forward. Dawson, WWC now, and Jacobonus. So make sure to bring on your comments, though. The Fast Life, good to see you there. Boniface might get Cone again. We're hearing from Aaron. We'll have to see. Boniface throughout the last race, I think he went over the 5-minute limit. I'm not positive, but he was absolutely flying the last race. He was asking some questions about that afterwards in some private messages, like, what just happened? Boniface obviously going pretty hard. He said that he gave one of the deepest efforts that he's given out on Zwift because of the depth of the field recently. Go Vikings, I'm hearing from Simon Strandes, as well as a question coming through about when are nationals, and that information has not been released as of yet, but it's a great question, cycling fan, and as soon as we got that information, Zwift, as well as here on Zwift Community Live, we will get that released out to you and get some updates to everybody about that. So appreciate the questions coming on through. Keep them coming, and let us know who you guys think are going to take who do you think is going to take the win today, the preems today as well. Always love to have your predictions, as we do see a couple of check marks in the race there. If you're unfamiliar with what the verified badges are all about, a lot of times those are given to recognized individuals in Zwift. We do see Clark here for the BRT team making his way forward currently. Actually, a little bit of attack here going on early on here. This is really the only section out on course that riders could try and make something happen.
Exactly. This spot here coming out of the tunnel, and it just keeps grinding up. It's like a long false flat section. It's a lot harder than it looks here on Zwift, and it's a great section just to put the hammer down as a team, just to stretch it out, and at least you're gonna break somebody. If you look on the back, like, you're gonna see some people dropping off eventually. Like, just remember, this is one of the longer races on Zwift. Like most races are around 35 kilometers, I think, and this is 53, so it's gonna be one of the longer ones. So it's gonna could be some upsets today.
We are looking through here, and we do see that reference here, or excuse me, fair reference. Ference here now with the verified badge, professional athlete in real life, hammering away here. I believe he is a triathlete. Don't quote me if I'm incorrect there, but I believe a professional triathlete there out of Canada there, making his way toward the front there. Pantelier here, though, from Evoke, one of the stronger riders to be watching out for, and one of the stronger esports teams. Diner here coming from Canyon seems to be controlling things. I think that's going to be Diner's role out here today, with Phillips leading things out in the series right now. I think there's going to be a lot of support out here specifically for James Phillips, as he has just been on fire in the sprints, and this is pretty much, if there was a James Phillips setup coming out of London, UK national champion, not the race in London, UK national champion. He's got the sprinter legs. I think this is going to be the man to watch out for today, as far as the motivation goes from Canyon ZCC.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. Like you predicted also last time, I think your pick was him, and he just came through with that second and third kick that he has in the sprints. So I predict at least a really, really long sprint again. And even if he's going to be passed in the sprint, I'm sure he can come back and do it all again. Another thing that's going to be interesting is to see what Carlos is going to do, like, tactically. Because they have Oftedal, the best placed in the GC, but they also have Vidar Mel, the Norwegian champion, who I would say probably better in a sprint finish. So how they're going to play their cards, I think basically everybody's just going to go for the sprint. It's going to be really, really hard to lead out one guy for the whole cup. And even though Vidar is not really up there on GC, if he wins one or two rounds, then he'll be up there anyway.
Looking through for the live results currently. Now, we do have a little bit of a sprint. They're going to be to open up here real quickly, I believe, as this is going to be for the first preem points, and it's starting to open up here. Clark's giving it a go. Berg, it looks like Fraglig is going toward the front now. Now it is 10 watts per kilogram here coming from Vang, and this is for points in the overall series. Now, Vang's giving it a go. 12 watts per kilogram, but from the pack, it looks like Almdahl from the Vikings team now giving a kick. Now, 14 watts per kilogram coming from the Vikings. Olsen right at the line there, but I believe... we have there's a lot of riders in the group here, and it looks like we got a couple little dropouts from being able to see the riders from this point of view here. Again, broadcast tools, boys and girls, we're just going to say that, but hopefully they're going to update over on swiftpower.com as I believe we lost them there for the riders nearby for just a moment, but it looked like Farah perhaps grabbed that right at the line. Almdahl, I thought perhaps. But we will get a live update over on the for the preems over on zippower.com if they are coming through. And it does look like the forward sprint.
For Olsen, it's quite important, the points, because he's only 11 points after Phillips. So for Olsen, it could really benefit that if he goes for some of these sprints and then still could finish up high in the final sprint.
It did look like Olsen might have taken
it
too. You know, at the first sprint here, Olsen I'm seeing perhaps, but no, Brett Boniface it says came through on the London sprint forward there, and then Martin Rose Almdahl followed up by Martin Olsen for third, I believe. So we'll have to wait and see if that does come through as correct. But we are getting a couple questions coming on through here. What is happening in the women's race? We're bringing it up as quickly as possible, but I can give you the live current situation. It does look like in the women's race, Steve Engel followed by Jessica Hamilton, and it will be Suji Holmson, Jennifer Reel, all in there. Vicky Whitelaw from the Hino RT is in there, watching out for her for sure. Kirsten Falk, it looks like, is in a chase group, a little bit off the back though. Claudia Berrien's in there as well. Still a big group, hammering away in that main pack right now. It does look like we have about 20 women, I want to say, all still in that lead group. Team Fearless represented. Draft is in there as well. BRT, Z-Sun, and Vixen Fox there. Revo also represented with Susan Bissett, it looks like. Noah Strait this week, it looks like. So not as many in the women's, not as many from Revo in the women's race. And Jessica Hamilton, it looks like, the solo rider in the front group that's going to have to go up against the likes of Team Fearless. That actually Team Fearless seems to be the main representation. Kristen Falk as well as Claudia Berrien, though, along with CJ Holmson. So that's the three. So it's going to be a Canyon versus Fearless out there today, I believe. Vikings also represented with Charlotte Oslad and then Linda Isaacson from the Vikings there. So we'll jump in with the women here in just a moment. I'm still looking to get that race started up. We had, like I said earlier on, guys, there was a lot of technical difficulties getting into the setup for a couple of these streaming sources, as well as obviously with the Facebook feed. So we're looking to try and make that happen for you. But we do have the men's race here right in front of us right now. And as they finished up one lap, we're going to have three more to go on this. And, you know, even though it is a flatter course here, I do believe that we're going to have some attacks because of the reality of, as you see right here, Gavin Dempster giving a go. How long the race is and all the opportunities that there are there. I think they're going to get antsy, and we're going to see a lot of situations just like this.
Yeah, exactly. Like you said, there's at least a couple of places on the course where you can actually attack, and then you also have the sprint that's going to change things up. At least it stretches things out, and it makes it easier to counterattack when it's all bunched up together. And then you're going to see here, like you said, people just get antsy and want to get going, want to animate the race. So I just love seeing when it's aggressive like that, and when you have the sprint to mix it up even more, it's just going to make for an exciting race.
And looking through, it does look like Gavin Dempster along with Scalbridge getting off the front here a little bit. It looks like the finish rider there as well, able to make a little bit of a break. We'll see if we can get back in with the front end, and it does look like three off the front now. Solid efforts here, 5.7 watts per kilogram. Dempster here, very strong rider. Always be watching out for him as we've said many times before, winner of the first live event in London. And Dempster's got a sprint, but obviously he also has a steady FTP up in at 357 watts right now. 181 beats per minute, though, so very high. Looks like Aaron Cole's here from Indoor Specialist looking to shut things down a little bit. Dagner, I saw the correction there coming from Reese in the Twitch chat. Appreciate that. Jasinski with the verified badge is there as well from Team Poland. Now to the front, it will be David from PLCC trying to shut things down, keeping the speeds very high. 50 kilometers per hour currently. But these boys, 47 kilometers per hour, not sure that this is going to stay away. They do seem motivated to chase things down. I'm surprised we don't see any of the other teams just trying to get involved in a breakaway situation here. And rather, there's just some workhorses saying, no, we want to sprint, and we're going to shut this right on down.
There's a lot of guys that have a lot of confidence in their sprints, so that's what I get from people. Like they all think they can sprint, but also the sprint changes quite a lot. Sometimes starts a kilometer out from the gate, and sometimes they're really late. So it really depends what type of rider you are. But I think the final lap it's gonna be full on attacks from all the teams except the ones like Phillips, and I don't know about Callis. I don't know what they want to do. Do they want to bring Phillips back home to a sprint against Vidar and Oftedal, or do they want to maybe attack somewhere before or put him a little bit in the hurt box?
Does look like things were shut down here. I think that's what they're going to need to do, though. They're going to have to put them in the hurt box early on if they want to have any kind of a chance up against this. Not any kind of a chance. I mean, there are plenty of other sprinters, obviously, in the group here, but they've been so well timed, and I think there is going to be there needs to be a concerted effort up against the likes of the Canadian ZCC because they do look to just be controlling this race completely at this point.
Yeah, they have. I just think even if they're not sitting in front, like controlling it like you would out on the road, I think just the dynamic of the peloton. I don't see this peloton going slower than 45 at any point, even if you're not pulling on front. Because that's just the way Swift works. You kind of build up the momentum when you sit in the bunch, and then you're just gonna take the front for even like 2 seconds, and it doesn't really hurt you. And then the next guys don't do the same. So that's why there's 100 guys left in the peloton. I just checked. And the speed is just going to stay so high. It's going to be really difficult to get away.
Exactly. I think the speeds that you can see at this point, it's going to have to be a huge effort here from some of the teams. But we could see something. They do have the numbers with the Vikings to try and make something happen. Not sure Callis is going to have any kind of interest to try and break away. But some of the unattached riders as well might start to think, okay, come on, we need to make something happen here. These teams are just controlling things. Might get a little antsy, try and push some of the pace here. Now we're going to have a couple of little turns here through the flatter sections again. Again, we are at a 50, I believe it's, did you say 53 kilometers in total, I believe, on the day here?
Yeah. 53.4.
53.4 on the day. So a huge amount of distance here left to go. As we've got about 30 kilometers left. So still plenty of racing to go. We're going to have over an hour race out here today in this Callis Cup number 3. And as we said, a sprinter's delight. But there's a sprint each and every lap, though. And if we do, we could see some early attacks to try and get away. And the one cool thing about this course is that little rise out of the underground that is about, I would say, maybe 1.5 kilometers out, maybe 2 from that sprint point. Maybe an opportunity there to grab a couple extra points and maybe create a breakaway situation. We'll see if some of the riders have any interest in that. But besides that, really, it's going to be off the back of the sprints, I believe, as well as the final across the line for the points out there today. But for the sprints out here today, did you say it was a 3-2-1 is what it was? For the totals on the sprint?
4-2-1 for the first 3.
So four is a pretty, that's a pretty good amount of points if you come through in first across the line there. And things could get changed up a little bit. Martin Olsen, as you did say, going to have a good amount of points that he can grab from Phillips there. Phillips, 70 points currently on the lead. Is Jeremy Ray in the race today is going to be another question that I'm going to have because Jeremy Ray currently sitting in 3rd place overall. I'm going to check the live result. Doesn't look like Jeremy
Nathan,
showed up.
I don't know. I haven't seen him in there, but when we talk about the sprint points, I don't think it would be a bad idea necessarily to maybe even increase the sprint points, let's say 10, 6-4 or something like that. Just I really think it would just create even more urgency for these sprints and mix it up, and for like guys that are, because there's so many hard courses on Swift. So for the sprinters, it's just a little opportunity. Maybe if it's in the early part of the race when you're still there, you can take some points, and then you're gonna get dropped, and you're still gonna get something out of the race. So for me, I wouldn't mind actually increasing the amount of points in the intermediate sprints.
Now I'm hearing from a couple of the riders in the race actually that they think that the hard point is not actually the rise out of the tunnel or the little underground, but it's actually the 600 meters afterwards because of the little bit of a false flat that is there. And I'd have to agree with them. It is a false flat. Look, 1%, you know, the 600 meters there, a little bit of a kick, but then the continuance that you have to have afterwards. That's kind of how things work in you know, bike racing. A lot of times people can respond quickly to 10 to 15 seconds. A lot of these racers are going to have a quick turn of speed. And really it is mainly neuromuscular at that point. But the neuromuscular kick that you do have to give there, followed up by threshold, a lot of times is what puts people in that hurt lock or puts them off the back and holding on at that point. If we do see any kind of continuance from these teams, we might see a concerted effort from a few of them. If we see some of these teams attack over and over again through that section, we could split things apart and whittle this down to maybe 50, 30 riders even. That'd be kind of cool to see some sort of a breakaway situation on this flatter course really working together. But we'd have to have all the teams involved to see that happen.
Yeah, exactly. Like you can see here, you go down into the tunnel. They're sitting at 56 kilometers per hour, 57. So they're actually building momentum, and that momentum is going to take them basically halfway up this little incline. So that's why the hardest part is afterwards, where you see a attack coming out of the tunnel. But the hardest part is really coming like 500 meters later when it kicks for the second time.
And we do see it is Loathe, one of the most aggressive riders. We talk about him often, coming out of South Africa. Give it a go. This is that 600 meters we had talked about, 4% uphill gradient here, a little bit more difficult on the legs. Now far up here, giving it a kick as well. Now, a lot of these riders, they're going to be on smart trainers. They will be feeling that gradient right now. And Doving here, Team Experimental, looking to get involved toward the front. Trzynski is there as well, trying to pull things back together here. Now, Lola here, given a lot of breathing room, something to work with now. Trzynski 5 seconds back. Skelbred there as well. Now we are getting back into the pack here. Ference here now, 3.6, and just calm. Very calm and collected here at this point. We'll see if this does stick from the rider that's off the front here. We're going to see if we can get a first-person view here just a second. And
so this is actually the second kick, Nathan, here they're talking about. This is the second time it just goes up to 3%. So for me, that's also the hardest part, because you're coming out of the tunnel, you have the flat, and then it kicks again here.
We do see a low 3% uphill gradient continuing on. As you can see, we are hearing Evan Benoist, we do see over on YouTube, can confirm that Boniface is racing for dropouts now. Phillips on the podium for sure. We're hearing from Stuart Featherstone. We're also hearing Vidal. Wayne Kirchmer, podium is my guest coming there from Galambos. Neil Richards is in here saying tech issues, cream trees. Then I go, oh, sorry to hear that, Neil Richards. Dang, I'm sorry that had some sort of a tech issue there. Hopefully we can get you back out for the next race for sure. We're hearing Matt Looker is in the chat as well. Good to see everybody coming out over to the YouTube channel. We are watching the chat. Make sure to bring your comments as well as your predictions. Loving them all coming on through. We do see a lot of support, obviously, for the man himself, that is James Phillips, that's been winning things often here. But a little bit of a switch up there from Balaz Galambos saying that Vidar, followed up by Kirchmer for third. That's quite the prediction there with Kirchmer. I would have to say, obviously we saw Kirchmer bested a couple of days ago on the Innsbruck ring. And we'll see if perhaps
by Phillips, I believe.
The Kirchmer domination, is it over? Is it going to be upset here now because of the timing and the tactics here? But opening up here already now. Giving a go off the front. It is going to be Boniface here. Now followed up by Berg. Then here goes Almdow. Blackbird. This is from way out here. The Finnish rider here. Lorio, he did take third, I believe, in the last time through, but Boniface given 15 watts per kilogram right now. 900 watts, as you can see. 174 here. Closing it down to Low. Low has been off the front this entire time. He's trying to hang
200
on.
meters to go.
And just not able to do so here. Boniface here still off the front. Kirchmer looking to come through here. 1 second is the difference between them. I think he might have gone early enough, and where he did, he grabs the points there. Kirchner continues on. Now, this is the opportunity point. Will they back off? 193 beats per minute here. Will there be an attack coming out of the main group in order to close things down? Blackburn, Boniface, far up. There's a gap here at this point. This is workable, and I think they can see that this may be a threat. Mail here from Callis. Low, it looks like, as well as it looks like Power. Simon in here from Germany here. Ferentz starting to give it a go. Look at how strung out this is. There are 10 riders off the front, but they have to find the motivation and the power after that sprint to make something happen here. Is this going to stick here? Far up here continues on, but I think the sprint was just maybe a little bit too hard, a little bit too fast from too far out to maybe be able to stick this gap and, really make something happen here, because they're going to have to counter. There is an opportunity, though, in just a moment here with the turnaround that might provide the opportunity, as well as the heart rates and the pain in the legs at this point might be a little bit too high for anybody to respond on the turnaround section here in just a moment. This could be it right here to see some sort of a break.
It's definitely the opportunity to go after the sprint. It was such a long sprint. I just think even though the sprint doesn't actually drop anybody, it just stretches things out and it really hurts people. So that's why I love to see the sprint each and every time. But the problem is the 5 or 10 guys in the front, that was the guys that were going the most aggressive for the sprint. So they really are sitting on the maximum heart rate. So it's going to be hard to attack after that section.
As you can see, exactly.
Two or three guys dropped. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does look like we do have a few off the back here, but not spinning very lightly, actually. It's the ones that did get dropped off the back. This stretched out at the back here, though. There is, if they did push the pace here, pushing 6-7 watts per kilogram, but with that long, drawn-out sprint, becomes very difficult to make anything happen. But there's a little bit of break. Let's see if we can find what's happening at the back of this pack here in just a moment. It does look like there's a struggle to get back on terms. The speeds are high, 52 kilometers per hour. Maybe they're not able to do the work, some of these riders here. Look at this. McGee, Helgeson, Team Finesse not able to grab back on. Larson is there as well. So interesting to see. As we said, going to whittle it down. Maybe not by as much as they would have wanted to, but definitely able to do something here. Boniface even sitting toward the back here after that crazy attack, looking to bring that heart rate down. Looks like 5.9 watts per kilogram, 6 watts per kilogram, now bring it back down to 139. So quick response there from the heart rate from Boniface, actually. So 5 seconds, though, does break the pack up a little bit. Maybe not as much as they would like to see, but does do a little bit of damage. Still plenty of racing to go here, though, with over 20K.
Yeah, it does do. It's still a lot of damage when you consider those 183 riders at the start pen. So I would say it is hurting a lot, even though it looks easy and it's flat. But for sure, I know this course here, it's gonna hurt. There's plenty of places where you're actually hurting, just sitting on. And I think it's just too long to go from here. But I would imagine like on the last sprint into the last lap, and then you have that U-turn where the speed goes down. I think like a team like Vikings, I would really want them to attack with the whole team, just because it's already stretched out at that point. So they might as well try something if they don't believe they have the fastest sprinter in the end.
Looking toward the front now, it is going to be a little bit of attack from the Vikings here, 4 watts per kilogram. Now this is one of those that just kind of sneak off the front. It looks like here coming from Golev. It's not a huge kick. Got a little bit of a gap. Gets shut down actually by his teammate Danielson, though. But that might be one of the situations that's able to get away. Have to wait and see here. Does not look like it's going anywhere, though, as it does get shut down pretty quickly. Golev quickly moving his way back to 10th place as we do take the right-hand turn back onto the flatter sections of this Greater London Flat here. And now Fagley here from Callis, as we are seeing in the red and black. Vision Rider making his way toward the front here as well. Haven't seen much from the Vision team in this race so far. We'll see if they can make any kind of fireworks, but it's only one rider there, I think, kind of isolated amongst the race out here today.
I think there's a lot of single riders that are just sitting in, just waiting for the race to develop, basically just looking out for some of the bigger teams, more well-known teams to do something. But even Team Fusion, with the Danish champion and the former Danish champion, Søren Baye, is in there. They're just sitting on, basically, just watching the race develop, and they could have some kick in the end. I've seen a lot of guys just hiding the whole race, and they could have a big kick in the end. Maybe not for the sprint, but maybe go a little bit earlier, like you said, out of the tunnel or somewhere else on the last lap.
Now a little bit of a kick here going off the front. I am seeing again, hopefully get a little bit of distance here, as it is going to be David PLCC One of the riders we mentioned many a times, but just maybe controlling the race here at this point. 158 beats per minute here coming from him. If you are watching and looking to get your ride in later today, we do have another stream later today with Koa Sports. If you guys are interested in that, and this is not the time zone that you can race in and or watch in, make sure to hit those follow buttons on Twitch as well as YouTube, as we do have some of our largest numbers on the broadcast because the Facebook stream was not able to go live. And good to see so many people tuning in over on Twitch as well as YouTube. If you're unfamiliar with or you haven't been watching on those platforms before, make sure to go ahead and hit that follow and subscribe buttons over there so you do get notifications. Turn those notification bells, quick little reminder. And you will be able to see that we are live later today with the Koa Sports Warrior Race. We'll be on board with Tim Ballantine and Greg McDermott, as well as Kent Cross. They're going to be taking over full productions of all of that, actually, so there'll be no Nathan in that broadcast later today. Great to have them on board. Koa Sports. Check out that race later today. Jump on in if you're able to do so, and you want to be getting some TV time as they do cover the A race in that broadcast. So back into this race, though. Again, David, PLCC here with Lowe, and then it's going to be just some rider I'm not familiar with, actually, out of Canada. New name to the world of Zwift racing from my point of view. Now, we do see, is that going to be Blackburn make his way to the front? I also saw an Evoke rider. I know we're clicking around a little bit here. Hopefully we can get Ostenfeld, actually it is, that I believe has made his way to the front. Now Cole's here taking over for the indoor specialists, and then the Vikings now back to the front, settling things down. So nobody really all that interested as we do head along the river. Thames, we're going to be taking a couple more turns into the main sections of the, well, some of the... Are these the residential sections? Is that what we have like over here as we get away from the downtown area more so here, Alex?
Yeah.
As I don't know London very well at all. Like I've been a couple times, but no idea on these roads really. No matter how many times I watch them, there's no street signs. There's no there's no identifiers, or you have to kind of be from the area to know what's going on.
Yeah, we should ask somebody from the Swift London office where exactly we are in the physical world here. So I have no idea either. I've been there a couple of times, but always in the city center. So, but at least we hit it along the river. We go inland here, and then we go back towards the mall and Buckingham Palace. I know that for sure. That's when we go under the tunnel, and that's the little section we were talking about where you have that second kicker. But I think that the problem with this long flat section is that there's no turns, there's no nothing. Like at least in Crit City, for example, you have all these turns. So if you go away in the flat section, you're out of sight, out of mind pretty fast. But here, if you go away, even if you have a minute or 30 seconds, you're going to be able to see them in front. And as you look at the pack speed, and they're not really going for it, they still go 46 average. So that means you're going to sit on 50 if you go away solo, which is pretty impossible.
Yeah, at 46 kilometers per hour currently right here, 47. Going away solo, not going to be able to happen here. With the current, drafting situation in Zwift, a lot of times not quite enough reprieve to rest up as you sit in the wheels. You're going to have to see some super powered athletes to try and get away from a group like this. Hopefully we do see a couple of attacks, though. Still, I think things are calming down, though, as people are starting to think, okay, this is a longer race, and some of their legs might start feeling those attacks that we did see here. But I think also there is just this section of opportunity that we're about to have, and again in a second, you can see in the upper right-hand corner, a little bit of undulation changes, a little bit of changes in the gradient that we do see there. And as we do get this negative 1% gradient for a moment here, we're going to have those kicks coming in, and I think we may see a couple more attacks here as some of the riders that do not have the confidence in the flat-out sprint might try to break something up here. Zimmerman here from Evoke here. We were going to mention him earlier with that verified badge. Good to see the former U.S. national champion of Zwift here out on Zwift. He did get a win this past weekend I saw on his social media in the KISS 100 race. So obviously, Alex, that is a race one of the most difficult races out on Zwift, the KISS 100 kilometers every Saturday and Saturday/Sunday, depending on what time zone that you are in. There's an Americas and a Europes, and that is one of the races I used a lot of times for my pro race training, actually, over the years, because of how incredibly difficult it is and the talent that shows up with it. And if Zimmerman's able to take that down, this past week, and he's obviously got some fitness coming on.
Yeah, it's interesting that because from when I talk to people, that there's not a lot of interest for those longer races, but then also hear it from you that there is a lot of interest for the KISS 100 and some of the Grand Fondos. So it's really a mixed crowd. Some people want to have those short races around 1 hour, less than an hour, and then you have the 100. Maybe in the weekends you can do a really long one on Swift if you want to.
Yeah, well, I think there's also a reality of like there's the esports racing, and then there is the training, right? And there is a reality that like if you want an amazing training ride, KISS 100, that's where this is kind of like, if a cyclocross racer or you're a track racer, like sure your shorter races are the ones that have the results that really really matter to you, but there are probably plenty of races you'd show up to that are longer for training. Or local group rides that are much longer that you show up for training. And that's kind of, I think, what the KISS 100 is more about a lot of times, at least at this point, because, the reality of a 100K race like that and the way that it ends up playing out a lot of times doesn't have the broadcast pull that you would want as compared to something like a shorter 1 hour, half hour, or even round robin type tournament racing.
Yeah, definitely. Like that, if you want to stream those longer races, then it has to be like a Tour de France broadcast. You have to have a lot of buildings and churches and vineyards to talk about, like they do in the Tour, because they also on the flat stages, on the sprint stages, it's always the same. That's what I mean. It's really pretty realistic because nobody was. If this was a real race in the world, like it would be also impossible to get away with a big group. You'd probably have like at least 10 sprinters in here, and you have all the teams just chasing everything down, and the average speed would also be 45 to 50 average.
And you do see that, and that's a great point, actually, how close to the real-life experience you would see in these longer races like this. A little bit of a kick off the front, though, maybe an opportunity, as we are seeing. It is going to be a rider in pink there. Robertson? No, Skelbred. Actually, it's going to be Skelbred. This is the rider we were talking about, the rider who came up through racing and training out on Zwift, younger, new elite to the world of Norwegian elite racing here. And Lau shuts that down, though, unable to get away. The climber here maybe getting a little bit frustrated with this situation here, and it doesn't look like anybody's really giving it a go, except for it was Dempster, actually. Dempster here taking the opportunity, countered there. Dagner here and looking to come through here. Nelson from the Vikings now. 1 second, though. Dempster continues on into the orange numbers. Gonna have a little bit of a downhill here, so it would be interesting if they can work together. If Gavin Dempster and Philip Dagner get together and start taking pulls, but it's not going to happen. Dempster's going from way out here. It does look like Dagner there's going for 10 watts per kilogram, trying to make something happen, but there's just not in the legs, it looks like. Up into 186 beats per minute here. Gavin Dempster continues away now. Low, 6.2 watts per kilogram, 179 beats per minute. Looks like it's going to shut things down. 5 seconds is the difference now. This is the same move Boniface made last lap. Did not stick, though, and it looks like something similar is happening here.
Yeah, I think also Dempster's definitely going for the 4 points over the sprint finish, and he's going to get caught up and not be able to hold on. And it's going to be probably a long sprint again, and then we're going to see the same thing that we saw last lap. We're going to see a stretch out peloton and plenty of opportunity to counterattack, especially in the hairpin at the end of the mall.
We are seeing Skelbred here now giving a little bit of a go. Maybe something can be able to happen here. Solid attack here coming from him. As now coming over the top, it's going to be Low. Low actually going here now as well. And this is a rider who might be able to hang on. 6.4 watts per kilogram. We see it over and over again, though. The pace just a little bit too high for the riders to hold off here. And the sprint is going to be coming out of the last 500 meters to the line. Boniface continues on 7 watts per kilogram. I think it's going to be shut down pretty quickly. Actually, Boniface going super early here now. 15 watts per kilogram coming from Boniface. He held off last time from not quite as far out. Will he do so again here? Kirchner giving it a go here, but Boniface just walks away, it looks like, with this one. Olsen trying to shut things down. Boniface still holding on. 4-second gap. This is not coming back. This is a race for second place at this point, I believe. Kirchner here trying to shut that down. Here comes Vidar Mail, though. We said that Mail, perhaps not the sprinter, but it looks like he's proven us strong. Boniface takes the points. Almdal's right there. I believe Almdal followed by Lursfien there. Torio there coming out of Finland there. And it looks like, L'Oreal coming out of Finland. Now coming over the top of Boniface, and now it's going to be Vang. Now the continuance might be here. Boniface has been going so far out, might get caught out here and not be able to hold on to this group that might start to form out the front. Will there be continuance? Vidar Mail continues on 4 watts per kilogram now. Can they hold a steady 5? Now it's going to be Lorio now 5.4, 5.6. This is a group of 6, 7, maybe 10 riders here off the front. Will they hold on to the gap here? Stu here now on the front. It looks like Berg from Callis now. Will these riders chase down their teammates? That's going to be the question. They can hold on to 1 to 2 seconds, though, at this point, and then come through on that 180 turn. Again, not going to happen, though. Another opportunity, as some of the riders have sat in at this point, though, they may have a little bit of extra power coming on through. Almdal kicks to 6 watts per kilogram. Callis is very involved in the front post here from the Vikings now. There are riders that looks like struggling to hang on. Could this be the split that we've been looking for as we come into this next lap?
Yeah, now it's starting to be realistic if you want to do a breakaway, even a solo breakaway at this point, where you can actually maybe think about doing it, because we are on the last lap. We have that U-turn coming up. I would love to see somebody just utilizing it just a little bit more than we've seen. I don't think it's going to happen today, but we still have a big peloton here, and it really looks like it's going to be a sprint, and I can't really see any team that has the power to split it up at this point. Even though Vikings would be one of the teams that could do it, they still have quite a lot of riders in there, I can see. And then I think Fusion is also going to try something with Søren Bay and Kalman, the Danish champion, just to mix it up, because I don't think they have the best sprint in this pack here, where there's so many good sprinters. Also,
well,
Phillips
speak a little
and,
too soon, perhaps.
Vidar.
Look at this though here, Alex. 3 Callis riders, 6 watts per kilogram currently on the front. Ference here now is involved as well. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, this is a pretty solid team effort here. The speeds, though, of the pack, as you said, too high there. Looks like Coles now from the indoor specialist, Blackburn from dropouts, BRT with Robertson. Yeah. They're given, though. They're really trying here, as you can see, as Berg makes it to the front. It looks like Ference there, Jackson there as well. Now all still involved. 1 second. They're not quite on, but it looks like it's going to shut right on down. Danielson there from the Vikings. Coming to the top, making sure Callis is unable to get away. And that would have been a team that, if anybody could do it, would have been the team to be watching out for, but not going to be happening.
Yeah, it looked really, really cool, and it could have gone away. But I just think when the pack is this big, it seems like the pace just stays high no matter what you do. Even if you have a lot of teammates in there that are backing off and not taking the front, just the momentum, like we talked about, the momentum building in the peloton just keeps the speed so high that it's still impossible. We saw 3 guys sitting at 6 to 7 watts per kilo, and even they couldn't get away. So it's really, really difficult on this course.
Very difficult on this course. Like we said, very difficult on this course. Like we said, it is a sprinter's delight out here today. That is for sure. And I think the likes of Kirchmer, obviously James Phillips, Canyon ZCC, I think are just licking their chops at this point, saying, all right, where is the sprint? We're waiting for it to happen here as we head into
Also,
the
Phillips
final.
has not done any of the intermediate sprints. Have you seen him do any of those?
Not one, actually. Not one. I think sitting in, reserving as much as they possibly can. And I'm looking through this top. I mean, there's 100 riders to look through here. But if we look through James Phillips, currently 4.2 watts per kilogram is the average that he has held so far. It is definitely on the lower end. Michael Podzeline, that's a sprinter. Team Experimental are out here today. They've got the numbers, actually. I did not expect this from Team Experimental, but there's actually 2 riders from Team X out there. Podzeline is out there. I believe I saw Johnny's out there as well. So a team that has been a little bit quieter as of lately, but I wouldn't count them out. Campbell and Boniface are out there supporting, it looks like, Hal Blackburn and Boniface out there supporting the Dropouts team as well. Obviously, Boniface has had a crazy sprint from way out. Watch out for Aaron Colesville from the indoor specialist. I think they're looking to get involved here. Looking through, though, the lower watts per kilogram, it is going to be Stevie Young at 4.1 watts per kilogram as well. It is going to be the Norwegian teams, the Vikings, as well as Callis, that have done the brunt of the workout here today, up into those 4.5 to 5 watts per kilogram on average for the duration of the race out here. Nobody in this front group is under 4 watts per kilogram, though, to tell you how high the pace has been.
Yeah, then it hasn't been easy. So that makes sense also why it's so difficult to get away. The pace has just been remained high, but now we see this long section along the river Thames that everybody's just. It's all about dropping your heart rate right now, recovering. Just maybe have a little bit of a sip of water before you get ready for the sprint, and then I guess the action would probably start out of the tunnel. I would assume that would be the perfect spot if you want to mix it up, even make it a long, hard sprint.
I'm hearing from Reese from the Canyon ZCC team manager saying that Alex West averaging 2.5 watts per kilogram. There's no way. I'm going to look through here. Alex West actually averaging 2.5 watts per kilogram. I mean, West, obviously one of the 4.3. Thanks a lot. Appreciate making me look, Reese. Not even, but I would not be surprised with the way that he rides toward the back end of the pack, always in the draft, hanging out, and is one of the more experienced racers and riders out on Zwift. That's for sure. Let me see if I can jump in with the women's race here. It's not actually allowing me to do so. Everybody, I've been attempting. If you've noticed, perhaps a little bit pauses or differences at all in the commentary. I've been attempting over and over again to jump into these ladies' race. I think I've logged into Zwift about 5, 6 even times so far to try and see if we could get into that race and jump in with them and hitting the ride with button plenty, and it's not allowing me to ride with any of the. And I follow all of them on my personal account, and it's just does not seem to be happening for us. But I may be able to move my way backwards in this in this race with a couple of other tools. Once we don't. Now the thing is, we want to make sure that we cover the racing right, regardless, and we could completely lose all of the race and not see anybody's race if we click around too much. That is also a something we need to be watching out for if we just start moving around in the world of Zwift without watching out for what where we're going and how we're going there. So we're gonna make sure that we get the finish at least of this men's race. But I do see a couple of the riders, specifically Jennifer Reel. I am seeing her on one of my feeds over here with some of her extra tools. We'll see if we can jump in with her once we do come across the finish line with the men's race, and we'll catch the finish of the women's. For the women's situation, there is a breakaway pack, it looks like. A quick little update over there. And it looks like Vicky Whitelaw's involved. Actually, Vicky Whitelaw looks to be trying to break away. But Claudia Baring, Kristen Falk, Jennifer Reel, Jessica Hamilton's in there as well. Louis Frierzine there from Team Cryogen. It looks like Rachel Elliott still in there, as well as Vicky Whitelaw. So we do have a breakaway group. It looks to be about 7 riders. Canyon involved with 2 riders. It looks like Team Fearless is still there with Jennifer Reel. Rachel Elliott is out there as well for KISS Racing Team. Jessica Hamilton from the BRT. Obviously, Vicky Whitelaw riding for Hino, probably the favorite out there. There's a chase group trying to make something happen with Revo, with Susan Bissett. Trying to shut things down, it looks like. They're heading into their next sprint momentarily as they cross over the 38-kilometer mark for the women's race. So that's the current situation in the women's race, everybody. Again, today we had a couple of technical difficulties. It's pretty obvious as the Facebook feed is down, and then we were unable to jump into the women's race. But as we do recover from those, we are going to have, obviously, the finish of the men's race here coming up pretty quickly, followed up by the final lap of the women's race if we're going to jump in with them. And we will definitely get the highlights up over on our socials as well. Looking through here, we're hearing Hodges as a prediction here coming from La Cabra. That's a great prediction, I believe, coming on through. And, that's a racer that actually we haven't mentioned too much, but has one of the best kicks, I think.
Zimmerman also. I was thinking about Zimmerman also, and of course, if Alex been sitting on the wheel, he's always gonna be up there. Alex West. I hadn't even noticed him until we start talking about him because he's always just hiding in the back of the peloton. So efficient on Swift. So he's always got a little extra power at the end of the race, especially a long race like this. It's really prudent to sit in, like he'd done. And also Kalman, I think the Danish champion is going to be one of the guys to look out for. Now we have less than 4. We have 5.4 3.4 kilometers left, and we're gonna hit the tunnel in just less than a kilometer.
Think perhaps we're going to see. I think it's almost inevitable. We're going to see somebody give it a go from way out. You know, it's so risky though, so risky to try to do so. But there is a reality, I think, of how the riders want to race this, and that if you don't think that you're going to be able to, well, you know, there's also here's the tough part. Here's the tough part. Exactly. If you don't have a kick, but then there's also the reality that the teams, they might sleep on it a little bit. You know, like there is always that chance that they kind of let something get away. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, Phillips here, you can see the rider making his way to the front now. We're starting to see the names we're talking about here making their way to the front, making sure they're not caught out in any kind of situation. Right, Kurt from Kirchmerk here, giving a little go at the front here, making sure they're controlling the pack now. Where is Phillips? I saw him just a moment ago. There it is. You can just see the blue and red stripes there across the white kit of the champion.
Really
of
bunched
the
together
UK
right
here.
now.
Really bunched together. Everybody is, like you're saying there, Alex, really looking for the position that they need here through this section. Do not want to lose any kind of time, any kind of waste of power here. 4.2 toward the front here. Hodges now 3.3 watts per kilogram now. You're going to try and stick with the top 10 all the way through here. Now a little bit of a kick here coming from Anderson here. Interesting to see. Now 435 watts. Now Berg starting to go. Now Cole going from way out here. This is the indoor specialist here. He's going to have to hold on to a crazy amount of wattage all the way through here. Dagner here trying to go now. It looks like to shut things down for the Canadian team, and he has been the workhorse. Philip Dagner now giving a go. 8 watts per kilogram, 9 watts per kilogram, shutting down the attack here from the indoor specialists. Look at Farup sitting in at 3 watts per kilogram. Now he's moving backwards, though, very quickly, and that's what happens if you do not respond to those kind of wattages that we're seeing from these riders here. Farup now sitting in. Look at Callis. Very well positioned here. All of the red and black, actually, from Callis are sitting right at the perfect positions, I think, within those top 10s. Hodges there on the right-hand side. We see all of the white of the Evoke team now taking over toward the front here. Almdahl from Callis now starting to go to the front. Boniface is going as well, as you can see. K Power from the BZR team there is going as well. Interesting to see how this is going to work out here. L'Oreal here. Now it's going to be Kate Doving's giving a little bit of a go. Team Experimental trying to go, it looks like, perhaps. Nope. Going to shut right down. They're just controlling the indoor specialists. And poor Aaron Coles. Nobody to work with out there. There's no other indoor specialist riders here out here today at all. And he tried to give it a go here. Shut down, though, immediately. Now, over the top, off the dollar now goes Callis now, maybe trying to give some sort of an upset here from far out. I don't think Oftedal's got the kind of kick that you would need to take a win in a pure sprint. So, trying to keep things keep the pace as high as possible. Look at how strung out this has gotten. Look at behind here. I mean, if you are not in the right position, the right spot here, speak to that really quickly, Alex. In real life, that's kind of what it's like. If you don't find those top spots, you can quickly find yourself snapped out the back as the sprinter teams come to the front.
Exactly. You want to be in the top 30 position coming into the last kilometer. That's essential. That's what you see. Everybody's trying to be up here now. Everybody's putting in orange numbers just to be up here until now. They're going to go into the, I think they're going to kick really, really early from the right-hand turn into the mall. And we're going to see, I see all the Norwegian guys are positioning themselves up. I see the Danish champion. I see the Norwegian champion going into the final turn. We can see it up here, 200 meters, and then we're going to go right, and then you can take it home from there. But I'm looking at Alex West, I'm looking at Hodges, I'm looking at Vidar and Kirchmeier.
Look at how this lead out is happening here. I mean, it's exactly like an in real life situation here where they just push the pace as high as they possibly can to make sure nobody can come around. L'Oreal here launches off the wheel of Dagner. Dagner may be setting up somebody else besides Phillips here. We're going to see if he can make this happen. Where's Phillips? Where is the pink kit coming on through? But no, it's going to be Boniface for 12 watts per kilogram. Here comes Zimmerman. Zimmerman out of nowhere. Will Zimmerman be able to make this happen? Here comes Kirchmer, though. Boniface trying to hold on. Reichert here. Kirchmer. But James Phillips. Here comes Phillips. James Phillips nails it at the line. Oh, my goodness. I think he grabbed it. I'm not positive, but it looks like James Phillips, I believe, was able to grab that result there. What a kick there from James Phillips out of the pack. Amazing kick there. The timing was
he grabbed
amazing.
it on my version of Swift as well. Just want to confirm. I saw it on your stream and I saw it on my version of Swift. So we have dual confirmation until we get it to Swift power. But I didn't even see him. Like, I can't see him right now. He's like in 10th or 12th position. And
way back.
It's insane. Yeah.
I mean,
Wow, what a sprint.
Look at the timing on this. Now, Stevie Young's coming through, 14 watts per kilogram. They're coming from Young, as you can see there. I thought L'Oreal might have timed it perfectly, but no. Look at the pack coming on.
I
Boniface
was
tries to
actually
hang on there.
following
Zimmerman,
He's also coming
Kirchmer.
from way
Yeah,
down.
Kirchmer's there. But look at Phillips at the back, all the way at the back from the 200, from the green line. Did you see that there? And here comes Phillips now. Where's the kick? Where's the numbers? 14, 15 watts per kilogram coming from Phillips here. Look at him fly through this pack here, closing things down so quickly, using the speed of that pack there. And is it going to be Phillips at the line here?
Position at 100 meters.
And it looks like maybe nipping it. Looking at it, it's neck and neck, but no, look at that. I mean, that's right there. Phillips comes through. Kirchmer, Reichart. We'll have to wait and see, though. We did see that maybe a little bit of a change up in the results there compared to what we saw on the video.
So he was at the 12th position at the 200-meter mark, and then at the 100-meter mark, he was at 7th position. So that's insane. Normally, you can't go over 7 guys in the last 100 meters when everybody's just full on the pedals. That was really impressive.
Amazing result there coming from James Phillips. 3 for 3 coming on through for the rider from Canyon ZCC. Now, we are looking to get in with the women's race here in just a moment. I'm looking through the current situation. I am trying to click through, and this is it. Look what we were able to pull off here. Look at this. A little bit of pat on the back there for the ZCL Productions. Saved everybody. We saved it. We got a situation here in the women's race. Apologies to the ladies. Thank you for putting up with us and the patience that you have had to get your race out here. But we got into the important part. We're into the final lap. There's been a breakaway situation here. Rachel Elliott, Vicky Whitelaw, Jennifer Reel, Fuhr's there. Looks like Claudia Berry and Canyon ZCC. Kristen Falk is still in here as well. Jessica Hamilton. So that is the situation with the women's race. Hamilton here toward the back. Top 7 riders right now. Leah Brewer as well. Thank you to Leah Brewer. Big shout out to Leah Brewer, as well as the rest of the team, Fearless out there, as it was your avatars that I follow on my account that I was able to jump in with. So appreciate you being out on course, as it was able to get us back in with the race. A little bit of a kick here from Rachel Elliott, actually. And Rachel, I think not having the sprint that she would need to win up against the likes of Hamilton or perhaps Whitelaw, maybe trying to break things here now at 3.7 watts per kilogram. We got Alex. Alex, are you live? You there?
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry. I was still looking at the sprint replay from the men's final. So, but we're focused now on the last lap of the women's race, and we see it's really split into pieces, because I was expecting the same thing to happen to them, that there was going to be a big bunch coming into the final sprint. So it's nice to see that the breakaway was able to stick here. It could have been elimination, just people just getting dropped out of the tunnel or through that hairpin that we were talking about. So it's going to be way different, like tactically going into a sprint with such a small group than the one we saw where they're coming in at they were sitting at 60 the last kilometer, basically. This is going to be a lot more tactical.
Very much more tactical. This does make things really interesting, actually, here. I think they're all going to be watching out for Vicky Whitelaw, obviously. She's got the kick. She's been just almost unbeatable. The Hino team, obviously, just riding for DBR in the Pro-Am racing. But, I think everybody is kind of marking her as, okay, what is she going to do? And how does that change things in a pack, actually, knowing that there is this rider that has, seems to have ability that's just maybe one notch above everybody else? How does that change the dynamic where everybody's only responding to that rider? Does it calm things? You got to kind of get some confidence, say, no, this is just a person. We can handle this. But then what ends up happening if if you burn matches thinking it's just a person who actually ends up being maybe, well, yeah, I'm just a person, but I've got a better FTP than you do. I got a better sprint than you do. And you just wasted your matches and it's game over. Where do you find that confidence or the tactic even to do something here?
Well, I think we were talking about it on the other stream the other day. That it's very similar to being a national champion. That's a good example. So you have the national champion jersey on, and everybody's looking out for you. And it's gonna be the same with Vicky. Everybody's seen her on Tour de Swift, the Pro-Am series. Everybody saw what kind of power she could put out. So it's basically just a tactical consideration. When somebody attacks, it's up to her to chase it down. And if she attacks, everybody's probably going to chase her down. So that's just one of the things. If you're a really, really good rider and you win a lot of races, it's the same in all kind of sports. People just going to pay more attention to you, and you're going to feel like it's a little bit more difficult to get away than it would be normally before you were that well known.
We are seeing a whole lot of chatter coming on through here over at the YouTube as well as Twitch channel here. Hodges third. He can climb. We're hearing all kinds. Phillips for the win here. Great finish coming from Aaron's. Called it from Stuart Featherstone as well. Near Richardson here. I'm seeing all the chat coming on through. Lots of Phillips predictions here. Yes, we do have the women's race. Thanks a lot for asking about that. Now, quick little shout out to the man coming from Zwift Power, James Hodges, saying that Callus League is updated for the global riders. The work that is put in by James Hodges, Zwift Power, as well as the Callus team putting together this race. Big shout out to them. Amazing job. And, lots and lots of hours, lots of manpower, lots of heavy lifting being done by these guys. And the current result situation here, I'm going to go ahead and see if we can bring this on in to the broadcast to let you guys know how things ended up playing out in the race as well as the standings as we head into the women's final couple of kilometers here. We are at the calmer sections of the course here. We're probably not going to see any attacks for a little while just yet, but it does look like James Phillips did take down the win. Going to see if we can grab the live results from it here as well today as they do populate. But we do see, yep, and so here we go. The men's results. Give me 1 second, everybody. We just about have it here. And as soon as I do grab this, we'll bring in the men's results. But the current situation here, Rachel Elliott along with that Chase Group. Chase Group's not coming back. This is pretty much said and done as far as that goes. But I could see somebody try see Team Fearless, maybe Hamilton, maybe Claudia Baring. They do have Kristen Falk and Claudia Baring here. I don't know if they have the level though that's needed to even to break Vicky Whitelaw. We'd have to see some crazy cat and mouse games to make something happen here.
Yeah, but it is a lot easier in this group because the pace is so much lower than we saw in the men's with the 100 guys there. It was like sitting on 46 all the time. So I would say the opportunity is there, basically everywhere from now on in towards the finish line. So I would want to try something at least, just to test the legs, just to test Whitelaw, and not just deliver her to the mall, to the finish line without putting in an effort and putting a heart rate up at all. So it would be a great opportunity to try now, or maybe out of the tunnel again, the last 3 kilometers.
I think you're right there, and I think if you do want to take down the sprint here, that is going to have to be what needs to happen if they are perhaps with any kind of hope of getting away from the likes of Whitelaw. We'll have to wait and see. Phillips there, as you can see, in the men's race. Those are the results for the men's race. Brett Boniface coming on through for second from what we can see. Kirchmer there coming through. Now, Kirchmer unable to hang on. Interesting to see as he was nipped at the line. Amazingly timed sprint there, obviously, from James Phillips. Brian Hodges, followed up by Ingo Reichert. That's the situation for the results in the men's race.
And Martin Olsen, 7th. I just want to point out he got some bonus points. So we just got to remember that even though obviously Phillips is going to get a lot more points from winning the race, at least Olsen is not going to lose with that many points. As I think he got a couple of bonus points. I'm not quite sure how many, but at least saw him getting 3 or 4.
Current standings then after 3 races. James Phillips, followed up by Martin Olsen, as you were saying there, was able to grab a few points extra through those sprint sections. So we'll have to wait and see if those were a part of these final results after race number 3. But this is the situation in the standings as the top 5. Jeremy Ray falling back because he didn't show up today. So that's the situation. Back in with the ladies, though, as they are going to finish up their race. No attacks. It looks like things are fairly calm. Everybody, it looks like, are just kind of waiting for the sprint section, perhaps. We're going to have a right-hand turn and then into the tunnel in the underground. That may be the main section for an opportunity to make anything happen, though. I think if anything's going to happen, that's going to be the spot.
Yeah, that is gonna be the spot. Otherwise, it's gonna be long falls flat. Everybody's just gonna look out for each other and want to save the energy for the final sprint. And I don't know how early they're gonna open this sprint because it is so different when it's a small group. Like you don't have to think about it in the men's group because there was 100 guys. You just sit in that position. You're just trying to get up there towards the front, and you saw it was like stretched out before we even hit them all. But here it's gonna be you're gonna be looking to the right. You're gonna be looking for those orange numbers, so you don't miss the kick and don't get in the draft.
You're speaking of national champions, and this group is with Vicky Whitelaw obviously hanging out in the national champion kit here out of Australia. But Claudia Varian, also a rider who's not unfamiliar with being a national champion, former U.S. national champion here for Canadian ZCC. So I'll be watching out for her. Perhaps she hasn't had the results recently in any of the more climbing courses, but perhaps Claudia going to be able to pull something off here in a sprint situation. She does have a solid sprint, I believe, so maybe Barian here going to be set up by Falk, but I think Falk and Elliott here now starting to push the pace. 7.6 watts per kilogram here coming from Elliott here now. We actually have a little bit of a cheering on here for Rachel Elliott from Clive Kane saying, "Go KRT, Rachel, best 20-minute personal best this week since her stroke. Such an inspiration." We're hearing from Clive King. That is absolutely awesome to hear. So Rachel Elliott obviously on form. Even after her injury and the recovery that she's being able to pull off here after her stroke, especially with the racing out on Zwift. Pushing the pace, though, Hamilton here, Jessica from BRT, unable to hang on. Obviously, the pace is very high at this point, Alex, as Barian sits on at the back. It looks like the two Canadian riders playing it smart, but Elliott just continues to this is just a race of attrition. This reminds me of like almost one of the classic races, you know what I mean, where a rider maybe just goes to the front and makes it hard on the cobbles. There's no cobbles here for Rachel to just make it hard on, but it seems like that's kind of her tactic at this point. Just make it very hard to hold my wheel.
Yeah, she's just stretching it out. I see they're all coming back right now, but it doesn't really matter. It hurts every time you put in that much of an effort. Was it 6 watts per kilo or something out of the tunnel? And you saw the heart rate go up instantly from Elliott. But I'm sure if you look at Whitelaw's, I'm sure it's also going up here. So it's really important that she doesn't go into the final sprint with the low heart rate. You want to really put her in the hurt box so she can respond to any attacks coming here in the last kilometer here.
We do see Whitelaw now, 4.7 watts per kilogram coming from her. Elliott now, 4.3. Whitelaw kind of trying to take over perhaps that second or third position here, following very quickly. Hamilton here back. Wow, did Hamilton get back into the race? Amazing effort here from Jessica Hamilton. She crawled her way back into the pack here. Will she be able to pull off a sprint situation? She's going to have to really recover after that effort, though. Huge effort here coming from her to hang on to these wheels now. Vicky Whitelaw taking over the front. Not where she wants to be, perhaps now. 5.2 to the front. Elliott now responding. 4.7 watts per kilogram coming from her. She sits in at 170 beats per minute here. Seeing Rachel Elliott win in real life, and but anytime I've seen her win in a real life event or these events in Zwift, not usually in a sprint situation. She's going to have to break this pack now if this is going to happen, I think, for her. Perhaps I'm incorrect, though. Perhaps we could see a kick from her today that we're not used to seeing. Hamilton, again, falling off the back. Obviously, it's a difficult time for her at this point. She's been looking for a wheel. Not going to be happening. It looks like she's 1 second off the back. Barian here sitting at one. Look at that. That's an Alex West. She's learned. Maybe Alex learned from Barian, actually, as she sits in at 1.7 watts per kilogram. That is some good drafting going on here from Team K. Now Whitelaw goes from way out here, 10 watts per kilogram. She's instigating, perhaps, looking for somebody to go.
She was just tricking them with the orange numbers. She was just tricking them to see if they reacted. One orange number, and you see people reacting instantly. So it's actually kind of a cool trick to do.
Now, Elliott here giving a go here at the front here. We're into the final 500 meters. Now, is Elliott going to go? No. Jennifer Reel sitting in. Everybody being very patient. 300 meters to the line now. This is Elliott now opening up 6.1 watts per kilogram. Where's going to be the kick here? Here comes Hamilton. Hamilton was off the back. Will she have a kick, though, to the line? Now, here comes Elliott. 8.2 watts per kilogram. Falk is going. 9 watts per kilogram coming from Falk. Vicky Whitelaw opening up from way back here, but Kristen Falk might be at the upstep. Now, Fierzing here now. Fierzing, what just happened? What just happened? The upset. Fierzing takes it at the line. What in the world? Everybody just sat in and waited for so long.
Yeah.
We're back in with the chase group here at this point, but let's go ahead and take a look at the replay. What?
They're definitely
What?
waiting too long, and I think Whitelaw was just trying to instigate it with the orange numbers, just trying to instigate it, but nobody really bited on that orange number the first time. So she was actually way too far back, and Fearson was just in the perfect. Falk was basically leading out Fearson here. Where we see the last 100 meters. He's coming over there. Fearson is on a wheel on the left side of the screen, and she's just going into the stream into the draft, and then just coming over the top.
Falk actually kicks pretty not early. This is very well timed. She just didn't have the same power response. Jennifer Real coming through with 10 watts per kilogram as well. There are some new kids on the block in the sprint situation here. That's for sure. As Falk tries to hang on, Fearson comes over the top, but Jennifer Real
Whitelaw is coming
almost
pretty
hanging
fast
on.
as well.
But Whitelaw had the kick, but just too late.
Yeah,
and the
just too late.
timing. The timing. I mean,
Definitely.
obviously, look at how far ahead the CryoGen rider was. Whitelaw comes through late. I mean, there she comes flying on through, but it was just too little, too late. As we did just have a sprint. Apologies, I'm missing that sprint there. For it looks like Leah Brewer as well as a couple of others here. Let's see if we can catch that very quickly here. This is the situation here across the line. It does look like it was Linda from the Vikings, followed by Leah Brewer. The two Brewers, the two L's from the team Fearless, actually. Is it double Leah's? No, apologies on that. Oh, no, I think it's Luis and Leah, but I'm going to double check on that really. Yep, and it is Luis and Leah. So Louis Fearson coming on through. Amazing result for that rider here. And this was the second group
Greatly
we were just
timed
watching finish here, just so everybody knows that was the second group coming on through that we just watched. So coming in to the results then. This is the live look of Jamie Blythe out on course from NTR. Good to see Jamie hammering away. Big shout out to Jamie. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can bring in the results, though, for the race out here in the... you're going to have to refresh and see if we got results. It's going to take a little while for them to load over on ZwiftPower.com. As soon as they do, though, we will bring it on in. And here we go. There is the ladies' results. It is going to be Louis Fearson with the upset. I would call it an upset. I mean, that was unexpected there from the German rider. I mean, we didn't mention her once
Definitely.
in the. But I mean, 3.1 watts per kilogram
but
averaged.
She's been really fast in some of the other streams we've been covering. So she was definitely one of the favorites, but I think Whitelaw was the favorite. She just timed her sprint too late. And I actually thought Falk was second, but apparently Swift Power got Wakey Whitelaw as second.
I'm seeing Kristen Falk on my end, though, as second here. Interesting to see. Let's go ahead and update this really quickly. And I have, you're right. And it was, well, the difference is, and the reason being is right up front, it got Kristen Falk, but then, interesting to see now.
Okay.
Is there a I'm trying to see what's going on here. 182.16. It's actually showing pretty big.
Yeah, it is showing Falk as
with
second place.
Yeah, it's a
according to
better
the
time, I think.
1:52.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Yes.
we'll have to wait and see
Yeah,
what's going
so they
on
should
here.
Change those two around.
Yeah, we'll have to wait on this, you guys. These results, I'm not positive, are exactly what they should be. I'm going to see if I get a little bit of information here coming on through from the man himself. But amazing results either way. I'm going to look at the live here. Sometimes the live is better on that. It does show Kristen Falk as coming through, followed up by Vicky Whitelaw, Jennifer Real, Claudia Baring. So that is the situation. That is the top five. Rachel Elliott ends up off the back there in sixth. Jessica Hamilton coming through for seventh. Linda Isaacson coming through. Leah Brewer next up on there. Let's go ahead and change up the scene here. We'll get Nathan back on the screen. Everybody, thanks for putting up with some of the technical difficulties today. Really appreciate everybody jumping on over toward the YouTube as well as the Twitch stream. We did see all of you over there. Make sure to hit those follow buttons on those faces. We'll get a couple highlights up over on Facebook and Twitter, though, from this race finishes. There was pretty exciting race finishes at the end there. So, again, we will be live in just a couple of hours, 3 hours, a little under 3 hours from now, with the Koa Sports Warrior race. If you're looking for a race here that serves Americas as well as the America's evening in the mornings in Australia. You can jump on over into that race. Make sure to jump on over into the broadcast as well. That one will definitely be on Facebook, as we'll get that live. But yeah, great job to all the racers. Alex, Callis Cup was heating up. This has been absolutely awesome so far.
It's getting better and better every round. I love it.
Yeah, next week, what do we got going on for next week? I believe we're going to have a little bit more climbing next week because of where we
have
are headed.
UCI Worlds course here on my end.
Yep, so UCI Worlds course
so that's going to be
next
really
week.
Interesting.
Yeah, very, very. So we're going to be on the climbing Yorkshire, I'm believing, Harrogate course.
Yeah, it was the final you had in Tour de Swift. It's just going to be probably 3 or 4 rounds instead. So it's going to be really, really difficult because even one round we saw the peloton completely split into atoms when we saw Tour de Swift do the final there. So it's going to be a really cool race to cover.
I'm being told use Unfiltered for the race results in order to, because it's a points race on the results currently. So thanks a lot for the update there, James. I will give it a go here. Oh, I see. So I see the points and positions changing up here for live and Unfiltered at the top there. I'm not going to be able to mess with it currently on the setup I got going on anyways, but we do see that it was Kristen Falk that ended up coming through for second. We'll get that corrected for the next stream. Phillips, I appreciate that very much. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. We will see you in just a couple hours for the Core Warrior race. It's been me and Alex Rasmussen on the mic for you for this Callis Cup. Next week, be watching out for next week. You're covering something different on another channel on Tuesdays, Alex, if I'm not incorrect.
Yeah, yes, we have Feltet.dk, which is the biggest Scandinavian cycling magazine, basically. We're going to do a 7-race series, probably very similar to Callas. We try to get a lot of the Scandinavian crowd in. Everybody's welcome, though, international race. So that's going to be streamed embedded into their Facebook site as well as their YouTube and Facebook pages.
Yep, so make sure to check out the DBR situation. They're going to be doing some racing specific to that. So head on over there and throw some follows. And we will see you guys in a couple hours for Core Sports Warrior Race. Thanks, everybody, tuning in. And as always, right on.